You have any regrets? You ever made a trade that you regret making?
Yeah, I've had regrets on outcomes. Nothing more than well, yeah. There's two. There's two in Dallas when we made Brendan Morrow the captain, and Mike Modano was the captain. It all the logic that worked up to it was Mike was part of a generation. This is the next generation. Mike can help Brendan take it on a little bit like the what's going on with the Leafs, but it wasn't right, and it wasn't the perception from the fans that made it right. It just when I saw it how it worked itself out, it wasn't right. And I respected Mike. I do respect Mike Modano, and I felt it was a bad idea. It was right intentions, bad idea. And I said like you idiot, make them co-captains. like the answer seemed, or do nothing.
Yeah.
That one
Did
obviously
it put Brendan in a
internal.
tough spot? We've had all those guys on.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
have
no,
talked
no.
in depth about it, from
Yeah.
Brendan to Mike to
I don't
other
I don't think
players of
it
yours.
put Brendan in a bad spot for two reasons. The players love Brendan, and they loved his and Mike handled it unreal, like unbelievable.
It wouldn't have worked if
that
he
helps.
didn't.
Yeah, like he was disappointed in the decision, as like again I made a mistake, but he just said to Brendan, "I'm here for you." Like Mike Modano is one of the classiest human beings you're ever going to meet, and he handled that situation with himself better than I could see anybody else doing. And he made it okay. He made a bad decision work out okay.
What's the other one?
Not being able to figure out Petro. That it just seemed too easy to end up where it ended up. And again, Petro's another guy I got a ton of respect for, because I'm not. I do understand that any success I've had as part of a group, it's the guys, like, no matter how much I think I'm involved in that, I go home and I don't have a sore on me. My legs aren't sore, my knees aren't sore, I didn't break an arm, I didn't get punched in the face. Like, I understand who does the work in an organization. It's the guys on the ice. And I just think with Petro, if I could have found a way, if I could go back in time and find a way to make that work, I would have done it.
Why didn't it work?
I don't want to get into it, like, because it's he's still playing and I'm still working, and I just know that I've worked with Petro. Like the next year I was doing the Olympics and we had to name our core guys, and I named as one of the core guys because I the respect I have for the guy is unbelievable, and he's still chugging along and doing a hell of a job. I just it didn't work, and I'm disappointed in it because there's not quite honestly a time I go by and I see those statues out in front of the arena and doesn't cross my mind he should have had one. But so you asked, there you go.
And what about Oshie? Is that a hard one or no?
No, he was young.
Yeah. Okay.
It wasn't like I didn't have a lot of history with him.
Yeah.
The hard ones are the ones that you have battle scars with people over time.
And won championships.
Won championships and understand you won championships off of their back. You understand how they helped build a franchise. They not that like Osh wasn't easy, but it was just a young guy that needed a different opportunity, and it definitely some insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I think it's going to change. That team wasn't changing, and it might have been shock therapy to the whole group when a guy of that caliber moves on. And then there's also Andy, that what you're talking about earlier. It wasn't we had Tarasenko and Schwartz coming, they needed to be paid. Yeah. Well, Osh's contract was up the next year. He wanted to be paid. Not everybody's getting paid.
Now the female women here in St. Louis weren't happy with it. Just so you know.
Yeah.
You can never anticipate what's going to happen. But like when you fire Craig Berube, for example, like that's your guy. You guys win a Stanley Cup together. You got to make that difficult decision. The next game, I mean, the fans are booing Jordan Kyrou. Like everyone's all worked up. They're up in arms. He comes back and scores a hat trick the next game after that. But still, like, what's going through your mind when you have to make a decision that you know is going to be unpopular with the fan base? You got to trust your intuition. It's not something you probably want to do because of your relationship with the coach at the same time. But this is why you get paid the big bucks, man. You got to make these decisions. Was this one extra difficult? And what was going through your mind when you see one of your best young players getting booed on the ice the next game?
Yeah, I would have to say that was the most difficult part of it because he made a stupid comment.
Yeah.
You know, but he ate that. He owned it.
Yep.
He understood it. And I think it could have been anyone that, like, people were ready to show their frustration towards myself for doing it, and it just happened to be him that said it. And I felt bad for him. We talked about it the next day. We actually had a laugh from Bull Durham. I showed the guys the video, like, but I said, okay, this is how we answer all their questions, like, God willing, you know, one day at a time.
You showed the whole team?
I showed the whole team.
God willing.
Whose idea was that? You came up with that on your own?
Yeah, I said, this is how we're going to answer all our questions the rest of the year. It's going to be bad for you guys, but yeah, and I certainly, you know, you don't want to make decisions like that. You know, you try and extend the window as long as possible. You know, we had some losses last year, like we played Detroit undermanned and they thumped us here. We played Columbus they got back and they lost the night before and they were tired. We were fresh. They beat us. I think, you know, we weren't finding any traction and you know, Craig and I still talk all the time, you know, and we're good friends and I hated doing that. And I understood the fans' frustration and anger because I was angry at myself for having to do it. But then I go back to what we always talk about. What is best for the Blues organization? And if you think this is the best thing, you have to do it. And, you know, someday Mr. Stillman is going to, I think I consider Tom a friend now, not just a boss. But I also understand that even as a friend, he might have to come to me and say, you know what, it's time and you got to accept it. And that's what I love about Craig, and that's what I love about Hitch, and that's what I love about people in our sport is they don't take it personal. They understand. They're disappointed, they're angry, they're frustrated. But all after time sets in, you know, if they were a friend before, they're a friend after. And if they're not a friend after, they weren't really a friend before.
That's why I got to give the Blues fans a shout out with that too, because they were hard on Jordan Kyrou. Andy's the one to ask a question in the post game, just so everybody knows. But now, you know, they go out and they cheer him. You know, they let their frustration happen, but then they're back and they cheer him. So I mean,
and he rewards them.
And he rewards them.
With that.
Like that's all you have to do. Go out there and work. You're fine.
Well, I mean, I remember, and again, I'm not sure what causes it, but like Jay Bouwmeester was a lightning rod here, and I was watching these games going, I'm losing my touch here because I don't see why they're hard on this guy. And then we win, and then he gets hurt. You know, seriously, and it's like we're never going to win because of Jay. I said, I know. Like 6 months ago, you guys wanted him right on out of town, and now we can't play anymore. And like Bo is a really good friend too. Like over time, but that's the one part I think. That's a hard train to get on, the love train, and the hate train's a hard train to get off.
I think Cole Parayko went through that too a couple years ago, and then this year he comes out and he's playing great hockey, and then it just switches back over. You know? But the flip side of that is it's worse when they don't care. Exactly.
You know, passion is awesome, and negative passion, it's not good when it's directed at you. And I'm not naive. I read the chat boards. I read all this stuff. You know, there's things out there you don't want to read, but it actually does make you stronger. If you I try and channel it the right way, and it makes you stronger. It makes you work harder. It makes you work smarter. It makes you, like, when someone writes something, if it's just mean, like, you know, I hope bad things happen to you. But if it's, you did this wrong, they go, maybe he's got a point there. Maybe she's got a point there. Maybe I got to reassess how we're doing it. So I think but if you take it personal, and that's where, well, now I'm off on a tangent now, that's where social media scares me for some of these younger people, because it takes a while to understand that you can't take it personal. You can learn from it, but there's a lot of people that get dragged into the personal part of it, And it can ruin lives, not just in sport, but in the world, and that's no good.
You should see what happened to him the other day. He wore a cutoff T-shirt, and his arms didn't look that jacked. He got bashed for like 3 weeks straight. Felt bad for you.
Yeah. Hey, you just got to overcome it.
Yeah.
You know?
And you did. Look at you now. You're wearing long sleeve.
You just got to overcome it.